every club.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Newcastle. My name's Iain Mackay. I'm joined by two giggling guests. They're probably laughing at the fact that I can't hear anything when that intro plays in my headphones, so I've just got to guess how long it's going to take. Anyway, welcome to you, Kevin.
Hello.
Are you all right, mate? I'm going to wipe that smile off your face.
I'm good. Jo's very off-putting. She's laughing away. For me, the intro started, and then I didn't actually hear it finish, and it just stopped, and then there was that weird silence. But I think when we upload it, it'll sound
well,
perfect.
that's what welcome to my world, Kevin. That's what I hear every time. I'm also would like to welcome Joanne, who has already been announced as being very distracting. Stop it, Joanne. Concentrate.
I'm
We've
very
only got half an hour.
Ian.
Where do you go with that? Nowhere is the answer, because we've only got half an hour or so for us to preview Newcastle against Wolverhampton Wanderers, which is played kick-off 7:30, bit early finish from work for me to get up in time. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night. But it's a very, very exciting time as the new year kicks into gear. Full midweek program, which is nice. So we'll have more guys to chase tomorrow night, because I think Forest, Chelsea, and Liverpool are all playing tonight. But we're sitting pretty. We've won 8 out of 8. My first question to you lot, you pair, is how far can we take this winning streak? Kevin, we've got 8 out of 8. Where are we going with it?
I'd love it to be 10 out of 10, because these next 2 home games, I think, obviously we're going to talk about Wolves quite a bit, but now I've looked at form from them 2 teams. It looks a lot trickier than what I initially thought it was. How long can it last? Let's go. I think we'll get to the end of January. Just keep winning. We're in good form. We're very, very confident. It looks like a lot of the players have the confidence back. Fluidity in our play. Look like we're pressing really well. And I think what was really impressive, even though it was the cup game against Bromley, was maybe we do have a little bit more strength and depth than what we realised. Lewis Miley looked fantastic. Granted, it's against League 2 opposition. Asula looks like he's ready for maybe more than 5-10 minutes at the end. And it looks like Dubravka might be staying. So, yeah, I think we've got to try and aim. I mean, Eddie Howe's answer would be 1 game at a time, but I think we've got to try and just aim every game possible, win it. There's no easy games in the Premier League, but I've said that before.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that he's equalled. If he can beat Wolves tomorrow, Eddie Howe will have equalled 9 wins on the bounce, which is something in recent years that only Rafa and Kevin Keegan have achieved. So I'm with you, Kev. I think we can go all the way through to the end of January. Just to be put a bit more detail on that, that's a home game tomorrow against Wolves, Bournemouth on Saturday, away at Southampton, and then a home game against Fulham. That takes us through to the end of January. Joanne, are we going to end up 12 out of 12? Very Manchester City-like.
Yes. I did predict, and I think it was just because I wanted it obviously to happen when we were 5 in a row, that we were going to make the 10. I then had quite an interesting talk on wonderful Facebook where I'd put it, and some guy came on and went, well, if we'll make it a 10, surely we'll do 11, because then that's the Southampton game. And I had to go back to him. I was like, look, I'm not going to lie. I've based this on the fact I would just love us to get to double figures. I says, yes, all right, I would still expect us to go down to Southampton and get something. But then when you look at it, and like you've just said, I expect us then to get a result at Fulham. So are we going to go at 12? Wouldn't it be unreal? Are we asking too much? Are we expecting too much? Yes,
probably.
And no.
When you Newcastle fans, we are probably expecting too much.
But it's out of excitement. I don't think, I'll be honest, if we drop any points in any of these next 4 games, I'm not going to be mad at them. As long as they've tried, by the way. If they don't try and we drop points, that's the only time I get mad at the team, I've got to be honest. But if we try in the next 4 games and we'll drop some points, we can't complain, man. We just can't. We, by the way, probably won't, as we know some other people will. But
Yes. I'm not sure that we are overstretching ourselves. If you look at these 4 games coming up and you compare them to a home game against Aston Villa and away matches at Man U, Tottenham and Arsenal, and let's get real, the team that will be playing Wolves tomorrow night should be strengthened from the team that won 2-0 at Arsenal. We've got Bruno coming back, and we've got Fab Shah back into the mix. So we will talk about our possible lineups in part 2, but I just was interested to see what you thought, where you thought we could go. I don't think it has to end at the end of January, personally, because I think we've then got the Arsenal game, have we not?
Yep.
In the
Yeah.
Carabao Cup, and then we've got an away match
Birmingham away.
against Birmingham in the FA Cup. It's probably
That's 14 now.
yeah. Then
You're getting
we
better.
play
Win the
away.
league.
Then we play.
Just-
Then we play away. Then we play away at Manchester City, which you'd think that might be where you'd probably settle to take a draw. However, they've been getting turned over a lot in recent months, so why not? Why not? We can dream. We can dream. So let's just say that we do have a run like that, and we do beat Arsenal or draw, get through to the final of the Carabao Cup, and we win at Birmingham. Is the treble on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to come to you
Come
first
on.
this time.
If we go 14 in a row, I mean, that's no longer being dreaming, is it? That's some serious business, that, man. 14 in a row. Like, now it just appears like it's a dream because we're on 8 and we're like, ooh, 14. But imagine if we actually make it to 14 in a row. I
So
don't
do you
know. I'm
think
hyper enough on 8, never mind 14.
are we in line then? Is it worth us digging out the presumably 4-figure odds that we would get for Newcastle to complete a Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League treble? Might be
Well, I've
the
already
first
put one on
person
for the
who's
league.
predicting us to win. Yeah.
Oh my goodness
Why not?
gracious me.
I don't see why that half the season left and we're 5 points behind Arsenal. We've got them to play. Chelsea and Arsenal are throwing points away like it's Christmas. And Liverpool are due to have their period where the wheels come off a little bit, and we've still got them to
Yeah.
play as well. I don't see why not. Why not keep it going? Let's win 6 in the next 6 and see where the table is then, and then we can decide. We can decide having been knocked out of the 2 cups and not picked up any more points, whether we were just dreaming tonight when we thought about a treble.
I can add another little spin and bit of positivity into that. Liverpool have Forest away and Brentford away in the next 2, and then they're back in the Champions League. So when Champions League games start up again, that's going to distract them. By the time we get to I think we play Liverpool on the 26th of February, we play Man City 3 days before that. And not that I'm getting excited or looking ahead to challenging for the title or anything, but when that happens, who knows?
Oh,
Imagine Sir Eddie Howe wins the League Cup, the FA Cup, and the league, and we're going to go all the way back to about, I don't know, 25 episodes ago now, when I'm sat there having a go at the minority of Newcastle fans saying, what is going on, wanting Eddie Howe out, and he's sat there being knighted, and he's literally got a statue outside of St James's. That would be a wonderful feeling.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Now, one thing is absolutely for certain. If we do win these 4 games coming up before the end of January, which all look super winnable, as long as they take them 1 game at a time, you will not be getting 190 to 1 for them to win the
That's
league.
what I got for the.
Which is what you got, isn't it, Joe? I had to make do with 160 to 1, but why not? Why
Drinks
not?
on us, Party at the end of the season.
I'm very excited indeed. And yeah, let's put the wind up Liverpool for the last couple of months of the season by beating them in the Carabao Cup final as well. I'm going to pause slightly early then.
We've turned Kev. He's usually the happy clapper.
I'm really happy, but I just Wolves are in
you're
good
scared.
form. Wolves are in good form, and it would be typical Newcastle, wouldn't it, to have such a good run of form and then,
We're going to talk about Wolves in part 2, Kevin. All right, let's just have this first part dreaming of something that, by the way, one thing I did hear, this is only the 2nd time in history that Newcastle, the treble, has actually been on for Newcastle. Because usually when the FA Cup starts, we're already knocked out of the League Cup. It has only happened twice before. So yeah, it should be celebrated and wished for. And wished for all your people who are getting birthday cakes given to them and the rest of it. Anyone snapping a wishbone, you know what to ask for. Look, I'm going to pause there and ask Joanne to give us the Zencastr ad, and we'll come back and we'll actually talk about tomorrow night's match.
That was a wonderful first part, I've got to say, Ian. Right. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner, with 4K video recording from your phone in AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast, it sounds great, and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Joanna. I feel I must just apologise to all of our lady listeners who tune in the evening to hear me read the adverts and send them to sleep with a warm feeling. That when I'm hosting, I don't get a chance to read any of the adverts. However, if you drop us a line in the comments section, I'm more than happy to record your very own bedtime message.
Ian's got literally
Anyway, back to part
Promote your
two.
bedtime messages.
There's people driving to work this morning, right? And have just listened to that from Ian and have just swooned. They've just literally swerved into
man.
another car.
I tell you what, look,
came over them. Wow. What a guy.
Part one was one section of my mind in Dream World, and then part two has started with part two. But anyway, it's part two. We're going to talk about Newcastle's home game against Wolves tomorrow night. Lots of interesting stuff. We are in absolutely superlative form. Surely Eddie's not going to disrupt a winning team. However, I think he is bound to. As I said, when we beat Arsenal, we beat Tottenham. Fabian Schär was suspended for 2 games. Does he come back? And if so, who does he replace? And our captain, Bruno, was missing from the Arsenal win. Surely he's going to come back as well. But that'll be up to Eddie, won't it? What do you think, Kev? Where are we going with our team?
I think you're bang on, to be fair. I think Bruno has to come back in. And I also think Schär needs to come back in. I think the Schär one's interesting because there is some fans talking about, does he stick with Botman and Burn? Because let's face it, they've done very well when they've just been chucked together. However, I think it's a good time for Howe to... He's already started dropping hints, hasn't he? I listened to the pre-match conference today, press conference, and he's already saying about he has to be careful with Botman. He did kind of chuck him in at the deep end, played 2 full 90 minutes, had Bromley off. He needs to just manage his minutes a little bit more. So I think that's him hinting, maybe at the fans, maybe a little bit for Botman. He's probably already had the conversation with Botman. Well, Botman already knows. But I think that's him hinting of, let's just be careful with Botman. Burn's done nothing wrong. And Burn and Schär have got us this far. I mean, we are, in dreamland. And that part one, when we're talking about, a treble and potentially pushing Liverpool if we keep this form going, which, by the way, I know we are getting a bit carried away, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility to win the next 3 or 4. Exactly like we said in part one. So if we are doing that, then I think it would be very harsh to disrupt Schär and Burn. Since that's been the partnership pretty much all season so far. And I think Botman's going to have to be patient, get his way back in. And what I think is really going to be tough for Eddie is that season we finished fourth when it was Botman, Schär, and then Burn was a left back. I don't think Burn's ever going back to left back now for 2 reasons. The main one, he's been amazing, absolutely fantastic. It's centre half. And the second one is Ian's shirt, Lewis Hall.
Yes.
So
show it, Ian.
There is
Can you see that all
absolutely...
right?
There it is. There it is.
There he is.
There's absolutely no chance.
Totally,
Burn going back to left back.
A totally unlicensed Newcastle United product. But hey, some of them are just so funny. You've got to have them, haven't you?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, you've done the centre halves there, Kev. That's fabulous. I'm going to switch across to Joanne and ask if Bruno comes back. Who comes out of the midfield? Is it obvious?
Well, yeah, you've got to go back to a 3 of Big Joe, Tonali and Bruno, haven't we, really? That's got to be the starting 3 in the middle
Lewis
again.
Miley might have made a pitch to get a start?
Oh, look, he was great. Don't get me wrong, but no is my very quick answer on that. No, I don't. No, I don't think he would expect to either, to be fair. He'll be on the bench, and I would like to see him come on and get some minutes as the kind of game goes on, but no, I don't think he should start at all. Bruno's got to come straight back in, and I would drop Botman for Schär based on exactly what Kev's just said, I'll be honest. Because let's get real, Botman wouldn't have came in and played all those minutes if Schär wasn't suspended anyway.
That's true.
So yeah, he's had a lot more minutes than you would have expected to coming back from injury, put it that way. So
I think Schär's got to come back, and I don't think you can reward Dan Burn for being the player of the season so far by leaving him out. So I think I agree, Schär Burn. and Botman on the bench. But I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get more than just a little 10-minute cameo from Miley. I know, Bruno's had a couple of games off, or a game off, but we finish at 10 o'clock on Wednesday night and they're back out again at Saturday lunchtime to play a very tough match against
That's going
Bournemouth.
to be when there might be some changes.
Could easily be some game management there. Here's hoping we can get 2 or 3 ahead and he can rest Tonali and bring Miley on for the last half an hour. That would be lovely. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, our opposition, Wolves, not the pushovers that they were in the first part of the season anymore. They changed managers 5 games ago. I think they are unbeaten in that 5. No, sorry, they were unbeaten in the first
Lost
4.
one in the last.
Forest.
They
Yeah.
looked like they got stuffed against Forest, but I watched that match and it was tough. They had a number of chances to equalise and take the lead, none of which they took. And then Forest killed them twice on the break in the second half, and it looks a bit of a one-sided 3-0 away win. But that was just a really professional, typical Forest job. And after Man City in February, by the way, we've got Forest coming back to St James's. So I think that 2 wins in those 2 games, and I really am going to start dreaming about winning the league title. Who are you most worried about in this Wolves team then? Joanne?
Is Cunha still out, isn't he? He's not playing.
No,
Is that right?
Cunha will play.
Cunha's not banned
Cunha's
yet.
back.
Oh, he is playing. Then Cunha.
Yeah, when we talked to the Wolves guys last night, I was surprised. Cunha is not one of their front 3. He's a midfielder that sits as an advanced number 10, but he's not in that front 3. But yeah, go on,
Yeah.
Cunha. I agree with you. Cunha is a real danger man.
It was sticking with the front, I'll be honest, because I was going to say that Chan, he seems to... He's a strange one. I haven't seen enough of them. It's so funny because obviously I know you said you watched the Forest Wolves game. I didn't, and I don't watch a lot of Wolves, I've got to be honest. So anything I know of any of their players is purely off highlights and stuff. So he seems like a bit of a nippy player. Don't know too much about him, but enough there where I could be concerned. He's getting goals. So I don't know.
A bit of a
Maybe him.
Wolves insight from talking to them last night. This Chan or whatever he's called, top scorer last year, because he was playing Wang Chan. He played centre forward for them last year, but he's not a centre forward. He's a winger, and he's been playing down the left-hand side, I think, this year. So he's not getting as many goals, but he is. He's the one that they would change, I think. They've got a couple of young kids that are doing really well on either wing, whose names escape me. This shows some brilliant research, doesn't it? What about you, Kev? Can you remember those 2 guys that I'm thinking
Well,
of?
there's Semedo as well.
I've watched quite a bit of Wolves. I actually quite like Wolves' team. There's a lot of players there I think are very underrated. You've got the 2 fullbacks, Aït-Nouri and Semedo. I know against Spurs, I watched them against Spurs. They played like a 5 at the back, and that sometimes causes us problems. It gives Murphy a lot to do, especially if Aït-Nouri, the left back or the left wing back, I should say, is going to bomb on like he does. He's a very good technical player as well. Semedo, Joe mentioned very briefly before, he's got a lot of pace. And a very good cross on him at times. The cross either goes absolutely miles into Rosette or it seems to be like a Beckham-esque cross. Doesn't seem to be much consistency there, but definitely a danger man. I do like Cunha. I think he's just an unbelievable player. I'd love him at Newcastle, actually. If Wolves were to go down, fingers crossed they do, we could maybe pinch him off them. And like you said, you've then got Wang Chan, who is in really good form. You've got Bern Larson, who is... I'm not as worried about him. This could be famous last words, but you've got Big Dan Burn at the back, who's a very physical centre half, and obviously Larson is a very physical centre forward. He's a bit of an old-fashioned throwback, isn't he? Of a big man with decent feet for a big man. I've heard that chucked around with him before. So
I do remember him sailing past Dan Burn for their goal when we beat them 2-1. We're rather fortunate
not going to happen
to beat them
again.
2-1 at their place early in the season.
Not going to happen again. What I think is important, I think for me, the game where we can hurt them is probably their defence. You've got Dawson, Bueno, Doherty. They're very gettable or get-attable.
Yeah.
Just making up words now, in my opinion. Their midfield looks strong, but again, am I really going to worry about their midfield? They've got Andre, Brazilian international, by the way, very good centre midfielder, alongside João Gomez, who again pretty much came in and picked up a mantle from that old Wolves team when they had Moutinho and Neves. Gomez is kind of a new breed of them. And alongside Andre, they're quite a good midfield pairing. But again, at home at St James's, I'm not going to be worried about midfield because we've got, the three golden boys in at the moment. I think what worries
I think
me is if they play five at the back, that could restrict Gordon and Murphy. And I'm also thinking we can get at their centre halves, especially with Isaac in the form he's in. If you can get a Dawson, Bueno, and Doherty, come on, they're the ones we've got to be targeting. But they could be very dangerous on the break. It stinks of Forest last season. This game stinks of Forest last season because they look very good on the counter.
I think Dawson's out, by the way, from what they said last night. And instead, they've got an Ivory Coast international that they've picked up from Rennes for 15 million euros. 6'5", looks quite nippy, quite strong. They chucked him in when they won in the FA Cup at Bristol City, and he performed very well. So it's a disrupted back five or central three.
What I find
But they have
amazing
got
about
a new
Wolves is
guy in there.
how aware they are. Like, you look at the bench as well. You've got like Rodrigo Gomez. He looks a very good player, very clever. I like Bellegarde. Bellegarde's tricky, but again, he's very hit and miss. Tommy Doyle, I liked last season. Haven't seen much of him this season with them two midfielders. Wolves on paper have a very good team, and I think that's why I'm a little bit like, they could hurt us. It's just their defense. I feel like their defense is their weak link at the minute. That's where we've got to try and hurt them.
The defense was apparently O'Neill was playing people out of position. Lamina moved back to play centre half, and he's not even a defender; he's a midfielder. When there were fit centre halves sitting on the bench, they never got hammered in that first part of the season. They were always in games. I think we should have too much speed and pace for them to be just sort of like holding out. But then you'd say the same about the West Ham defence, wouldn't you? Not that I want to put a downer on everything. So yeah, they've got plenty of players who can hurt us. Of course, there's one player who's already scored a last-minute winner for Wolves against Newcastle at St James's Park, and I was there, and it made Jim cry when he was only 10, I think. That was what do you call him? Doherty scored a header at the back post in the injury time for them to win, which was dreadful. I nearly cried. But yeah, it's not going to. Lightning doesn't strike twice, does it? I'm going to pause there. Wolves, we're scaring ourselves just thinking about how many good players they've got, so we're not going to talk about them anymore. What we're going to do is ask Kevin to give us the GSPN advert.
Happily, the Global Sports Podcast Network is changing the face of football podcasting with dedicated daily content for every Premier League team, women's football, and it's even got a dedicated Premier League wrap-up in 5 different languages. This is your one-stop shop for your daily football fix. Find the Global Sports Podcast Network wherever you find your usual podcasts.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Kev. You froze through that, and all I heard was podcasts at the end of it, so you came back just in the nick of time. Otherwise,
I heard
we'd
it
still
all.
be sitting here.
It's recorded.
Good. Right. Who wants to dive straight into predictions, or have you got any more observations that you'd like to make about our game against Wolves? Do you think the wheels would come off if we did somehow get turned over, or a boring 1-1 draw or something tomorrow and a disappointing performance? Is that the end of the good run, or
No.
are we able to have a blip and come back?
No,
Yeah.
What do you think,
I think we're more than capable of coming back. I think we've already had a blip and come back. I think we've shown we already can this season. And again, I was probably overly positive during that blip and annoying lots of people listening who are Newcastle fans. But look, whatever happens against Wolves, I can personally, I know that Eddie Howe will be prepared. He will not take Wolves lightly. He said in the press conference again today that Pereira's really got this Wolves squad playing now. And that's what made me look at the Wolves squad. And I was thinking, oh my God, how are they 17th? They have an unbelievable squad. What's been going on there? But again, there's more of an insight on that on yesterday's episode with the Wolves crossover. So look, for me, I think we will win still, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as everybody thinks. I think there'll be a level of expectation tomorrow at the stadium with the so-called casual fans of, well, we can beat Tottenham away, we can beat Man U away. This is Wolves at home, we're going to batter them, but it's a very dangerous game, and I think it all depends on how they approach it. If they approach it and try and hurt us on the counter, a little bit like Nottingham Forest did last season, that could really cause us problems. I'm not saying it would beat us, and I'm not saying we wouldn't be able to cope with it, because we are very good and we're in good form ourselves. But that could really hurt us. But personally, I think it's their back line, like you said, talking to the Wolves guys. It's been disrupted. They haven't got any sort of partnership or link up really there yet, and we're halfway through the season. So can we make the most of that? Can we get Isak dropping in between the lines, running at them centre halves, Gordon on one side, Murphy on the other? I think that could cause them. That's where the game's going to be won or lost for me. How much work do we create for their centre halves? If we create a lot, I think we'll win. If we don't do enough, then I think we might be maybe in a little bit of trouble. But that's where I think the game's going to be won and lost tonight.
I think I'm still right in saying that Wolves have conceded more goals than anybody else in the Premier League. That's how bad their defence has been. But they have also scored their second or third highest scorers as well. So, yeah, I agree, Kev. I agree with what you're saying. Are you going to give us a prediction after your little monologue there?
Yeah, I'm going to go. I think we will concede eventually because I think we've got too many good forward going plays. But I think we'll have enough about us. I think we'll win 2-1.
2-1. Excellent. Before you get a chance to do your prediction, have a chat, by the way, Joanne, I'm going to say from last night's pod, my prediction was 3-1. So you can't have that.
Shock. No.
Did anyone?
He didn't go for a 3-1, did he?
Michael's prediction was a 4-1 because he thinks we'll have way too much up front and Isak's on fire. I know.
You swapped
I
Michael.
had to check.
What's going on?
It was Michael. I had to check it was Michael.
Where's the original Michael gone?
By
Where's
aliens.
his twin brother?
Did he get a lobotomy for Christmas? He got.
Anyway, Joanne.
Well,
how do you say? What's your prediction for this game?
Well, I'm a bit like Kev, I'll be honest. Like, look, the first part of this pod was great. Like, we went into Dreamland, we started talking about winning like 14 and beyond and all this sort of thing. And it was beautiful, it really was. But we have got more sensible heads on. I do think we can still win it. But yes, I'm not one of those fans that's going to go into tomorrow's game thinking it's going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be easy. They'll take it to us. They'll want... It's almost like I think some teams might want to almost... beat us and want to prove a point now because we're on such a run. So they want to be the team to break the run. I know that sounds
definitely
daft, but yeah, it might not sound that daft at the same time. Yeah, I've got to admit, Kev, I was going to say 2-1. It's other alternative would have been 3-1, but I never want to take 3-1 because it's always
3-2.
Bet. No, I don't want them to score 2, man. I'm not predicting that. Like, and then Michael's took 4-1. I honestly don't believe it's going to be 5-1, so I can't go too nuts here. No, I reckon they will score. I reckon there's going to be goals on each side.
You have 2-1, I'll go 3-2.
But I reckon it's going to be 2-1 where we'll go 2-0 up and then they'll score. So it's going to be like and then it'll be squeaky bum time because we'll start thinking, oh, is this the game? That's going to be the one, but we'll not. We'll see it out. So that's kind of my prediction on how tomorrow's going to go.
I think it's Brentford again. I think we'll go 3 up after an hour and coast and they'll get a last minute one. That's what I think.
Oh.
I mean, I'd prefer yours, by the way.
But,
I'd prefer Michael's 4-1.
Well, true. Yeah, actually, yeah, it's a bit better.
Michael had some. The last 3 times we played them, we've won all 3, and with an aggregate score of 6-1. So we should be favourites.
We are different Wolves versus new manager.
I'm going 2-0. Right, they're not scoring. I'm going 2-0. There we go. I'll be different. 2-0.
So Joanne's going 2-0 and Kev's had about 4 goes, so he can claim whichever one it is that he was right. And that's all right. We like to give Kev as much of a hand as possible, you know.
I need all the help I can get, Iain.
He does need all of the help that he can get. Well, look,
please donate to the Kev Fund. That's what's coming next.
Go fund me at the end of this pod.
Trying to buy a bus and a carer to get Kev out to the coast one weekend in the summer. It'll be lovely.
Yes, please, people. Any help would be much
not before the summer, though, because he'll be watching the Newcastle matches before then. Thank you very much indeed for your input, Kevin, and for your input too, Joanne. That was fun. I hope our lovely listeners thought it was fun as well. A big hello to everybody listening in from America. We're now growing quite strongly.
USA.
Transatlantically.
USA.
So we are more than welcome to invite us to any city in the United States for us to host our podcast from there. We'd love to come and see you.
If anyone's rich and want to fly us out,
and we'd love to come and watch an NFL game. NFL game would be amazing.
Particularly
Right,
the
it's
Washington Redskins, by the way, people who are
No,
absolutely smashing at the minute. Don't you
Philly
dare start.
Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, we're big
right.
rivals then. Didn't realise you liked the
We
Eagles.
Love the Eagles.
we're
Revelation there,
looking for
Kev.
an American.
Mm.
We're looking for an American hairy godfather to pay for 5 flights for us to come and do our podcast
Am I on a different
over there with
podcast
you.
now?
That'd be
Why
great.
is he hairy?
Transported from daily Newcastle to like Amazon wishlist podcast. There's an idea
Yeah,
for a podcast.
a wishlist podcast. Anyway, thank you very much all for tuning in. Here's hoping our 3 positive predictions. One of us is right, and we go 9 out of 9, onwards and upwards. We will be back to review the game tomorrow.
Every club